Hello everyone, today we'll be seeing Java database connectivity. So for that you'll require Eclipse installed on your systems, and also you'll require MySQL installed on your systems. And make sure that you have a username and password set to your MySQL client. So for that you need to run this command once you've installed MySQL freshly. Then inside this we'll create a table. We'll first create a database. And inside that we'll create a table. Let's name it SPPU, and we'll store PRN numbers of students and name. Oh yes. First we'll have to use our newly created database, and then we can execute this command. So our table and database is created. Now we need a Java project. Inside that we'll implement CRUD operations, create, update, read and delete on our table that we just now created. So our table name is SPPU inside database demo. So let's first create a Java project. Now right click the Java project, go to properties, Java build path, libraries, class path, add external jars, and include the MySQL connector that I have also mentioned in the description box. Now go to source, delete module info.java, right click source, new class, now inside this we are going to write our code. So firstly we need two imports. The first import is java.sql, and we'll also require scanner class for taking input from the user. Now we'll define a main function. And inside the main function we'll firstly have to connect with our database. So for that we'll, in the reference libraries you can have a look, we'll require this package com.mysql.jdbc.Driver class we'll require. So that is what we are going to mention over here. com.mysql.jdbc.Driver. Then we need a connection URL, and we need our password and username. So over here I've given the username as root and my password is password. So that is what I'll be defining over here. String user is equal to and you'll also require the connection string, that is the connection URL, which is jdbc.mysql:/localhost, and our process is running at port number 3306. And we also need to mention the database which we are working with. So the database which we had created is demo. Then we need to establish a new connection. A connection object will create, and using the driver manager we'll create a new connection, and inside the connection we need to specify the URL, our username and password. So after creating the connection, we can simply print something that a connection has been established. Now ideally all of these statements we can implement it using a try catch block. So if any exception occurs, we can just show it, but I'm not going to do it in this particular session. We'll directly implement the CRUD operations. Now it's showing me a warning that I need to add throws declaration over here. So make sure you add that. Now you'll need certain objects for the CRUD operations. So the first object that we'll require a query string. It will be a normal Java string in which we'll write a query for insert, update and delete operations, and also select operation. And we'll require prepared statement. Once we write a query, the query gets compiled into an actual SQL query using this object prepared statement. So we need to use that. And for select statements, we'll require a normal statement. And we need to call the create statement function of the connection object to create a new statement. And whatever result we'll get from the execution of any select query, for that we get that as a result set. You must have seen that over here you get a result set, so that's why we need a result set too. Then we'll be taking name and PRN numbers from users, so need to mention that. PRN is an integer we had declared in the table, so make it an integer. And we'll also create a scanner class object so that we can take input from the user. Now we are going to implement a menu driven program. So we'll ask user for input. we'll ask user to enter C if he wants to implement create operation, that is inserting, then R for reading all values, D for delete, and use remaining, U for update. We'll take the choice from user. And then we'll implement a switch case. So the first case is of create. So if the string we get matches with C, that is create, we'll implement create functionality and then we'll break. So we'll just create all the cases for that. Last one need not have a break in it. So in the create part, we need to insert values. So first we need to have a query for that. So we had defined a query object, a query string. So our query will contain the insert query. Insert into our table name was SPPU values. Now for every value that you want to insert, that you want to mention in the query, you need to give a question mark, because all of these values we are going to take from the user. So let's take the values from the user. Enter and what we can do is we'll take next line as input and we'll parse it into an integer. And we'll also take name as the input. So that would just be a string, so that is enough. Then the query needs to be converted into a prepared statement. So pt is equal to con.createStatement. See, once you have the jar file ready and all, you'll get such automatic suggestions for creating functions. Con.createStatement, pass in the query, and inside the prepared statement we'll set we can set our question marks inside that, the question marks which we included over here. So prn is an integer, so set int prn and set string name. It will fill in the question marks in the query for us. Okay, so the first argument needs to be the index, the first index and second index in the query, and then we need to execute our prepared statement, that is our prepared query. So that is execute update. And then insertion will be successful, so we can print a message for that. Now firstly we'll implement these operations: insertion, updation, deletion, then we'll see reading operation. So I'll copy and paste this over here. In update, I'll take the PRN number as input, whose name is to be changed, and enter the new name. So then our query will be update SPPU set name equal to question mark where PRN equal to question mark. That will be our query. Now in this case our PRN will be the second. Okay, PRN is the second index and name will be the first question mark. So that will be our updation query. There are basically 3 steps. You need a query, you create a prepared statement of the query, and you set the question marks in the query, and you execute the update. So same we'll copy it for our delete operation, just that we'll have to change our query a bit. So delete from table where PRN equal to, that will be our query. So we don't need a string in that case. And yes, that will be our deletion query. And now the fourth case read. Now in the read case, we don't need any user input in the read case. We'll just have a query select. Now in this case you can't mention star because you have to identify the values by something. So we need to mention the name which we'll identify the values by. So here I'll identify it using PRN and name from my table SPPU. And in this case we need a result set. And we'll use the statement which we had declared over here, create statement. This is what we require for select queries. So statement.execute query. This is the only change, otherwise the above three were same. So you'll get a result set, and we'll have to loop through the result set till we get a null value or the result set finishes. So that will be till we have rs.next. We'll loop through it and we'll print out the result set. So System.out.println. Here we'll have PRN is equal to rs.getInt, and inside that what we are identifying it, we're identifying it with PRN. So that we'll mention that, and we'll convert it into a string. Because everything in print line statement needs to be a string, so that's why we are converting this integer into a string. Then after this we'll have the name. So name is equal to plus the name which we get, so that is rs.getString name. See, if you write over here p and n, you can write p and n over here. So that is up to you how you are identifying it in the query that you've defined. Now we'll execute this. I was getting a permission error, so for that you will have to change the alter command a bit, the first command that we had executed. Identified with MySQL native password, and inside that you may mention your password. Okay, so now run the Eclipse Java application again. And it will work, but it will only work once, as we have defined this only once. So what we can do is we can create a infinite loop over here. While true, we'll execute this particular thing again and again in a loop, our input inside the loop. And we'll also add an additional field for exiting the infinite loop. So if our choice is 0, then simply break out, or else we'll go into the switch case part. So let's execute this. C for create, PRN number 1. let's see whether our insertion was successful. Select star from, first we'll have to use our demo database, then select star from SPPU. Yes, it has been inserted. Now let's update this, or maybe let's create another record. Now we'll try updating. Update 1, change name to be this. Let's see. Yes. Now let's try deleting one record. Deletion successful. Yes. And now we'll read all the records. So I'll have to check. There's an error. Okay, so the error was that I need to mention it as the field's name that I had given. It cannot be just any name. So the first thing which I had done was correct. So now we'll execute this again. You need to see the read command. Yes. Let's create another record and see the read command. Yes, it is working. Now we'll exit. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.